What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PNW Whiskey Society. I'm Grady.
I'm Jason.
Got a
My
wonderful
name's
guest
Kyle.
on the show today, and his name is Kyle. Yep, he jumped the gun. That's all right. Kyle, thank you for being on the show today with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your whiskey journey and kind of where you started, and where are you at now?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. My whiskey journey started around in 2020, actually when my grandfather died. My dad was clearing out some of his old cabinetry and actually had an 18-year-old bottle of Elijah Craig single barrel from 2003, so 18 years prior to that. We still
Nice.
have about probably yay much left in that, and that kind of kicked it off. To me, I was attracted to bourbon originally because I liked the sense of place that it involves. Kentucky, as we know, is perhaps the biggest hub in bourbon of the world. 95% of bourbon comes from Kentucky. It's at least a $9 billion industry for rich soil. You know, of course, bourbon has to be like 51% corn, so there's good corn there. Soil also helps with grain too, and that limestone with H2O, with water that's in there too. That really set me up, I think, where I found something I liked right off the bat, and then I can kind of dive into the sense of time and place that I had. When I started with bourbon, I wanted to try everything. I remember going to Total Wine. Jason, you sold me a bottle of, goodness, it was a holiday blend. I forget, it's a rye of some variety. But that was great. I really enjoyed that. I found out that I liked Heaven Hill quite a bit because about Elijah Craig. And that was kind of where I started, was an Elijah Craig barrel proof that I had bought in Salem at a liquor store downtown. So that's where we are now. I kind of got over that phase of buying a bunch of bourbon and kind of narrowing down to what I like. A lot of that is Heaven Hill products.
Nice. Did you ever? I mean, I think we could probably all say this at one point, but were you ever in the Tater blends Weller, trying to get your Weller vertical?
Not necessarily. Not a lot. I quickly found out that a lot of those products are hard to get and hard to obtain. And at the time, I just moved to Salem when I was starting my job. I didn't want to put all of my money on bourbon. But so it's been nice, you know, collaborating with friends and connecting with friends over it, which I really enjoy. And I think whiskey brings people together. I mean, it's why all three of us are here. And to me, that's the best part of it, too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
What did you choose for tonight for our episode? I think we're gonna call it Fun with Thun. Is that okay?
That sounds good to me, man. I love that. That sounds great.
All right.
So I, fitting my, I guess, preference towards Heaven Hill, I have a 10-year-old bottle of Henry McKenna, bottle and bond. It's a 10-year, which I like. I also brought a Glencairn glass from a Festival of Dark Arts. It's a beer festival in Astoria every year. I brought this because one of my favorite beers last year was actually a bourbon barrel aged stout and Elijah Craig barrels. I think Henry McKenna, I like it a lot. I like the labeling, I like the history kind of behind single barrel bourbon and how it, I guess, was a result of bourbon really kind of dropping down after vodka, gin, the clear spirits kind of took over. This bottle in particular was a gift from a friend of mine. And it was bottled on 1/15/2013. I don't remember what it was doing that day, but it's on a Tuesday, and I was a senior in high school. So the fact that I can look back on this date and think, oh my gosh, my entire working life, I went to college twice, I got married, I'm moving back to actually Richfield in a couple months, all took place, when this bottle was aging in a wreck house, and I think that's awesome. I chose this also because I like Heaven Hill. I mean, a little history, I suppose. In 1935 was when it was found, and I really think one historical event kind of ties into kind of why I like it so much was the big Heaven Hill fire on November 7th, 1996. I'm sure a lot of us have seen those videos of rick houses on fire. For those of you, I guess, who don't know, that day was a very windy, cloudy, awful day, and somehow, the cause has never been determined, caused a huge fire at the Heaven Hill distillery. They lost multiple workhouses. Don't quote me, it was at least 3, I think. was a 7-hour fire. Rick houses were collapsing, all around. There was a creek of bourbon, as one of our head distillers, master distillers, had said, flowing down the road. And there was concern for bankruptcy. 2% of the world's bourbon was lost then, and 100,000 barrels were gone. So I haven't done the math on how many bottles of bourbon were lost. But
That's insane.
the concern for bankruptcy with that was obviously huge, or at least, a huge cease of production. But I brought up earlier that bourbon brought people together. I love that Brown Foreman and Jimmy Russell from Wild Turkey all got together and actually allowed, Heaven Hill and Jim Beam to actually use their facilities with their own yeast and with their own products for that, preventing them from going under. It's a fraternal organization. They could have, there's competition, but that came together as family, which was rad. I mean, nobody died.
Incredible.
Jim Beam yeast was saved after 7 generations.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Incredible community, and that's a great story. And while we're cheersing this Henry McKenna, I'm going to pose the question to you, and while you and Grady sip, okay?
Yeah.
So the question I pose to you, being that you love Heaven Hill so much, if you were for a day to walk onto the campus at Heaven Hill and choose to either do your own blend from everything in their stock, or come up with your own mash bill and do a single barrel of bourbon, which one would you choose and why?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think doing your own mash bill will be really neat. I think it would be neat, because you could obviously manipulate all the ingredients to find something that you want, but it's a lesson in chemistry that I necessarily don't have experience with. So
Sure.
you could manipulate it a little bit. I think that would be cool. Maybe, a higher wheated blend would be something that would be really neat.
Would love to experience with a wheated blend at Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know what their mash bill is for their Heaven Hill Select stock or the Parker's stuff or the Old Fitz stuff. But
Right.
that stuff is obviously, or the William Heaven Hill stuff. Those are top of the line Heaven Hill products. But
Right.
I don't know. I would be really curious. I think the science behind that, and that's a really good viewpoint that I've never really thought about taking.
Yeah. By the way, Kyle, I was in Kentucky in October for a week, and Heaven Hill Visitor Center is go. I got to bottle my own bottle of Larceny Barrel Proof. I still have some of it, so hopefully when you get to Ridgefield, we'll get together and share that pour, okay?
That's a special thing. I was looking up distilleries to tour earlier this month. I'm thinking maybe about going and doing something on a bourbon trail, and that appealed to me right away. Bottling your own, Larceny, or bottling your own Elijah Craig. I think would be really rad.
Yeah, super cool, man.
Yeah.
So I guess the kind of the final question.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but I feel it should go one way over another. But if you were to have one more bottle, if you were looking to say, hey, I'm done, I just want to drink what I have I just kind of want to let this have, just have its way. If there's one bottle that you could have and be done with bourbon and be done with drinking and be satisfied with what you have, what would it be and why?
Man, that's a good question. Double barreled, Parker's Heritage is up there for me. I think that's fantastic, man. That's solid stuff. I'm very partial to that. I like drinking higher barrel proof things. I love it, man. It's not super over oaked, which I think if you have, something that's, of that variety, it can be easier to over oak something. I think the balance is good. With the baking spices there, a little bit of a zap and a little bit of a zing from a higher proof, I really like.
Love it. Yeah. That I'm happy that you stuck with the Heaven Hill, the road on that. I think that Parker's Heritage Double Barrel is also very stellar, but
It is.
I've tried some old Parker's Heritage stuff. I haven't really had anything besides maybe their Orange Curacao one.
Yeah.
The Orange Curacao one's kind of funky, but the rest of them, really good, man. They really know what they're doing with their Parker stuff. I would be almost curious to see how are they picking the barrels that are selected to be Parker's barrels versus the because I know those are just Weller barrels and they then decide to just age them longer. I would be curious about that barrel picking process.
Yeah.
With Heaven Hill. So Anyways, all right. Well, thanks, Kyle, for joining us today. Really appreciate you staying on with us and giving us that Heaven Hill information. That was pretty cool. You gave us some stuff that I definitely didn't know. So,
Well, let's get together soon. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kyle.
absolutely.
yeah.
I love that.
I'd love to feature any of you on our podcast as well. It takes a community, and anybody in the Pacific Northwest, regardless of where you are on your bourbon journey, we would love to feature you on the podcast. So,
Even if you're brand new to bourbon.
yep, even if you're brand new to bourbon. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.